We have an awesome program for you today. We're doing 4-bar on trays 69C10, and we have a solution for our airbag problem. Check this out. We are installing a Ford 9-inch and trays 69C10 today. We're doing a parallel 4-link rear end, and we're going to do a panhard bar. We won't get all that done today, but we're putting on our brackets. We're putting the brackets on the frame. We're going to get this rear end moving up and down so that he'll be able to lay this thing on the ground. All right, very first thing we have to do is we have to get the rear end situated so that we know that it's in the right location. So I already have it side to side. I'm going to show you that. I have that correct, but I'm going to show you right now with our angle finder. And so that's what we want. We want about between 3 and 4 degrees, so that's pretty darn good right there. So we have our angle here. That's matched the angle on the engine. All right, now what else have we got? All right, the next thing we need to verify, and I'll only show you one side because I don't want to bore you to tears. We want to verify that our rear end is equidistant from side to side. And this, hopefully you guys can see that, is 7 5/8 from the face of the flange to the edge of the frame. 7 5/8. It's also 7 5/8. I've already adjusted it. Obviously, you need to have your rear end centered in the frame and also the angle of the rear end correct. We're going to weld on these brackets. This is going to sit right down here. We'll get our measurement this direction. Also put an angle finder on here so that we make sure we get this at 0 so that the shocks, this is the shock mount right here, shocks will be able to stay straight up and down real nice. And these guys will be in the right position for the heim joints. So this is where the heim joints or the 4 bars will connect in, and that's going to be up on the frame, and that's what's going to locate the rear ends forward to back. All right, so I have my little mark here side to side. It's 4 1/4 from here to the inside of this flange, and I have my angle finder on here. So when I get my 90 degrees, which is right there, then I'm going to put a couple little tacks, and I'll make my adjustments. I'll tack over here, and we should be rolling. All right, we're doing the same thing on the other side. All right, that looks awesome. All right, some of the hardware is missing for this particular setup. I'm going to run to the hardware store, grab some nuts and bolts. We'll come back, we're going to lay our 4-bar in here. That will enable us to be able to locate these flanges on the side of the frame, and we'll have this thing swinging today. All right, I went to Ace Hardware, picked up my nuts and bolts. 8 bolts, 8 nuts, and 8 washers was $49. And we got to do something. This is stupid. But I had to have them. I got them installed now, so let me show you what we're doing. This is the bracket that we're going to be welding onto the frame. This is the bracket that we already tacked onto the rear end. I just have it tacked now because I wanted to make sure everything was correct. Our 4-bar links right here, I went through and made sure that they are all the same distance, within a 1/16 of an inch. That also allows us to be able to adjust it in and out to be able to correct the geometry on the rear end to make sure that it's aligned, and also so you can change the pinion angle if you need to for additional traction and things like that. So right now I am going to make a mark right here where this guy right here slides up, where it's going to be welded on, so that I can make a similar mark over there, make sure the measurements are exactly the same. This gets put in the same spot, and that way this thing will drive straight down the road. So we're going to hold it down at 1/2 inch. We want to have this about parallel, and if I hold it down about 1 inch, it's pretty darn good. So I think I'm going to hold it down 1 inch. That should be, that's our ride height, 5 inches. We want them pretty flat at our ride height. So I'll go down 1 inch. Make another mark over here. I'm going to use a straight edge, and I'm going to connect those two so that I have so I have a nice line across here to line that up to. and we will weld her on. Use these gigantic C-clamps. They sure come in handy. Alright, I'm going to put me a spot weld here and I'm going to tap on the back. I want that parallel to the top of the frame, and with the adjustments I have right here, it's not quite there. So I'll get me my spot weld right here because it's right perfect up front. I'll take this top one loose. That'll allow me to be able to flex the suspension effectively. Alrighty, we got it all laid. I'm gonna turn this thing noisy son of a gun off. Well, we got it tacked up, laid in. We got 4 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side. We got our rubber mounted hymens right there. And then these need to be painted, but these are more flexible, which will allow it to do what it needs to do back there. We have our bracket tacked in. We have our pinion angle on the rear end. Let's go check out the other side. All right, a lot of measuring. Clamping, getting things right. That thing looks beautiful, doesn't it? I mean, seriously, it looks beautiful. So 4 bar, they call them parallel, but they're just barely not parallel. That helps when the rear end articulates up for it not to completely lose our pinion angle. Anyway, it's a great rear end, great for traction, great for airbags. It's gonna make this girl handle like a son of a gun. So next we gotta do our panhard bar. We're not gonna do that today. And we need to do our upper shock mounts and our airbag mounts. After everything's all positioned, we run it through all the systems and make sure that everything's good. That's when we'll go back and do all the solid welding. Hey, it's a new day here at the Odd Rod Garage, and as always, we have encountered a new debacle, a new problem, a new stumbling block. Like usual, we've discovered a new hurdle. So, Tommy makes comments about me all the time, not only about how handsome I am, but I'll just never leave anything alone. You know, I have to have it all. I don't want it to just be cool looking and fast. It has to be cool looking and fast and lay out. It has to be cool looking, fast and lay out and cheap. It just keeps on going and going and going. And as you guys know, on this particular vehicle, Trey's 69C10, we did the world's most beautiful step notch, which is possibly the world's most beautiful step notch.
Did the cross members.
Yeah, we've done the cross members so that it all lays in where it needs to. It's super strong. We have exhaust going through it. We have now installed, which you saw some of this earlier in the video, we've installed our 4 bar with the Ford 9-inch, which that is very important and turned out absolutely beautiful. And now here's the problem. The problem is this truck is supposed to lay down on the ground with the world's most beautiful step notch and have 12-inch wide tires on the back so we can hook up the 6-liter that we're doing. And that poses a problem. The problem is we have our new airbags. Tommy, grab that and put it up on top of that axle on the outside.
Uh-oh.
So the problem is, as you try and airbag this girl, you end up with not enough room in between the frame, the airbag, and the inside of the tire, and still be able to move the amount of movement that we want to get and get a good ride out of it. So then we thought, well, that's no problem. We got the right size bags. We can put them to the inside. Well, that's not that big a deal. You lose a little bit of stability, but we could gain some of that back with a big sway bar. But then you have no place to put the exhaust. because the exhaust has to be above the frame, and it's certainly not going to run underneath the axle, because then every time you went to change a tire, you would have to take the exhaust system off. Probably not the most optimal situation on the side of the road, and it would look ridiculous. So Tommy and I have discussed this at length, and there's only one solution. We're going to burn this truck to the ground. We're done. We're going to claim insurance. And this all be over with, and Trey can go buy him one.
We'll just glue it right here, and it'll be great.
Yes, no problem at all. No, that's not what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. A cantilevered airbag system or suspension. And so we are going to put our bags in a completely different location. Normally you would locate them on the rear end or a trailing arm. Like if the 4-bar were a trailing arm, you might bring it a little bit further forward. Well, we can't do that. This is where we're going to put it. Thomas, show them the new location. That is the new location for our airbags.
How does that work, you say?
Well, we are fluent in a procedure called CAD. Now, I am certified in AutoCAD and SolidWorks, but this is not AutoCAD. This is CAD. And what is CAD? Cardboard Aided Design. Cardboard Aided Design has given us something here that we are going to do. Hold on to that. Be careful, it's heavy. We're going to show you. Our Cardboard Aided Design, we had some generic basic dimensions. Let me show them this real quick. So our Cardboard Aided Design has helped us develop this cantilevered arm. And so we're going to have a pivot here in the middle, which we're going to buy some of that stuff from a trailer supply store today. We're going to have a pivot here in the middle. This is going to be a hole that will ride on top of the airbag with a Heim end and a little bracket we're going to build. This hole back here is going to ride over the top of this rod end, also Heim end, and 5-inch rod. And this will pivot like this, and what it'll do is, as the rear end goes up, the airbag over here will push down. And as this goes down, the airbag will go up. So when it lays down, the airbag goes all the way down, and the rear end goes all the way up. And when you air it up, then the airbag goes up, and the rear end comes down. And that's a cantilevered or a rocker arm style. It's just like the rocker arms in your car on the engine. As the push rod pushes up, it pushes down on the valve and lets the gases in or out. So this is a cantilevered system. We are going to hand build this like apparently we do every inch of this stupid build. We're going to have 2 1/4-inch pieces of plate. We're going to put 1 1/4 inch down through the center. It's going to be as strong as can be. We're going to have them, I think we're going to have them cut some nice lightning holes, or lightning, not lightning like stripe, but to make it lighter. We're going to have them cut some holes, and it makes it look cool. And we're going to have our buddy next door who has a CNC plasma table. He's going to go through and build this rocker arm for us. Or he's going to cut it out, we're going to assemble it, and we're going to build it right about here. And as this thing goes up, airbag goes down. So we think it's actually going to be pretty cool. In the comments, tell us what you think. Alrighty, thanks guys for coming by and spending some time with us. We got a little bit of 4-bar action done. We got some work done on the Land Rover. We'll show you that in another video. We got a whole bunch of things done on this particular chassis. And remember, CAD, Cardboard Aided Design. So I've sent this over to my buddy next door. He's going to get it all cut out, and we'll get it welded up next week. We'll get this thing moving up and down. I'm hoping next week to actually have this down on the floor with a temporary airbag system in it so that we can watch it go up and down. If not, it'll be the week after. Anyway, we want to remind you to subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up with that like, share the link, leave a comment, do the bell notification. And as always, thanks for watching. Alright, they're cut out. Next door neighbor did an awesome job. I have 4 of them. Next week, we're going to weld this together. We're going to try and make this thing go up and down. Hey, this is a buddy of mine's 74 F250 Highboy, and we are doing a complete chassis swap onto a 2012 F150 5.0 Coyote 6-speed automatic 4-wheel drive. It's going to have all the modern conveniences with the body of an old girl.